Right. Hello, everyone. So we're going to start on Monday night setup in the PowerPoint packet that we gave you all. So on Monday night, the Democratic judges and the Republican inspectors are going to be responsible for setting up the polling location on Monday night. And you should know if this is you already, so don't worry, but you should be informed already that you might be one of those people going to set up. So when you do this, you will go and check the ballots that are in the DS200 machine. You're going to make sure that you have the correct ballots. A lot of these locations are going to have multiple precincts, and you're going to make sure that those ballots represent all of the precincts at that location, as well as any districts associated with a certain precinct. You're also going to post the signage kit. You're going to set up the poll booths, and you're going to move the machines to their positions. Do not plug them in, and do not open the poll pads. The poll pads are essentially the check-in machines. They're in a green box. After you've done this, you will either call or text me on Monday night, and my number's there, and on a bunch of other things, just telling me that you were able to set up, everything's correct. If it's not correct, please call me, call Angela, call the office. But hopefully everything goes well, everything's correct, and you all can call or text that night and just let me know that everything's set up. And then after that, you'll secure the location before you leave. On election day, all poll workers will meet at the location at 5 a.m. We ask that you dress appropriately. If you're a cold person, dress for cold weather. If you're a warm person, dress for if you're going to get hot during the day. You won't be able to leave the location until the election day is over. If you need people, or if you need someone to bring you some clothing to get warm, or you can take off. Don't get naked, but you can take off some clothing and cool down. So just make sure that you're dressed appropriately for the day. You will meet at 5 a.m. The inspector is going to administer the oaths to all of the workers, and then a Democratic judge will administer the oath to the inspector. After that, you're going to follow the DS200 guide for startup instructions, and you're going to set up our AutoMark machine. The AutoMark machine is essentially, we'll go over it, but it's just to help people who have trouble seeing small print or filling out their own ballot. After that, when it hits 6 a.m., you're going to announce loudly the opening of the polls. And when you do this, we ask that you kind of take count of how many voters might already be in line. You might not have any, and that's okay, just write 0. But either the inspector or a judge is going to count and record the number of people at that 6 a.m. time, 12 p.m., and then 6 p.m. And there's a place in the oath book to record that number. So ballot care and organization. Some locations, not all, are going to have separate tables where the poll pads and the ballots are. We ask that you make sure that the ballot table is just organized. Similar ballots are together in a stack, and they're not mixed in, and that everything is, kept clean so nothing gets mixed and no one gets the wrong ballot. One clerk from both parties is going to initial the back of the ballots using a red pen. So we'll have one Republican, one Democrat use their initials on the back of the ballots, and we ask that the clerks do not initial an entire packet once, and just to initial as they're about to hand that ballot to the voter. Poll pad receipts will be kept in a baggie that we're going to provide to you all, and these are very, very important. We need these returned at the end of the election night back at the Judicial Center once the polls are closed. Once again, setting up for locations, we just ask that both parties are present on Monday for the day before the election for that setup, making sure everything's correct, that both setups, Monday night and Tuesday morning, that everything's organized and it's as easy as possible for voters coming in. A lot of people are trying to come in early and get that done before they go to work. And the check-in area should be very easily recognizable with the poll pads. Again, the poll pads, that's where the clerks will be. They'll be there checking in voters. We just want to make that as clear as possible so we don't have people trying to figure out, oh, where do I go? And again, some locations might have a different table where the ballots are from the poll pads. Some locations, the poll pads might be right next to the ballots. And please keep tripping hazards to a minimum and try to arrange the table so that anything that needs to be plugged in is close to an outlet. will provide you with extension cords. So if you do need to use those, we supply them so that you can use them if it's difficult to get machines plugged in and be in an area that's viable for people to sit at. So the close of the polls. We ask that you loudly announce the closing of the polls, and when you announce this, we ask that if there are still voters that are in line to vote, that you have someone, either the judge or either a judge or the inspector, stand at the behind the last person in the line at 6 p.m. when you announce the close of the polls. And if this is to make sure that those in front of the person are able to vote, since they were there before 6 and have been waiting. And if anyone else comes up after 6, that person is there to say, unfortunately, we can't let you in line because 6 p.m. is the cutoff. That's finite. There's no arguing there. And then we ask that you organize all paperwork and forms that were used during the day and place them in the correct envelope and seal the envelopes with the document seal. Inspectors are also trained on this, so they know more specifics on that. And the inspector and a Democratic judge will follow the close the poll steps in the DS200 guide, which will be provided with the materials at the polling location on the election day. And this will tell you when to remove the memory stick of the DS200 when prompted. And that memory stick is very, very important, just as important as those receipts. Then you will print the results tape following that DS200 guide still, and you'll sign the tape, place the tape and the memory stick in the black pouch that will be there, and then you will secure that pouch with a memory tag, and we'll show a picture of all of that. And then you will remove all voted ballots from the DS200 bin, which is inside the machine. You'll straighten them up, stack them, make sure they're all nice and tidy. You'll place them in the black duffel bag, and then you'll also secure that with a security tag. You'll remove all of the signage from the signage kit that got posted on Monday night, and you're going to place it back into the signage kit. And these are just some information signs, and the inspectors were kind of trained a little bit more on that. But place all unvoted ballots back into the DS200 storage bin. That's going to be inside the machine. We really want to make sure that all unvoted ballots are separated from the voted ballots. So voted ballots will come out of the machine, go into the duffel bag. Any unvoted ballots will go into the machine to be stored.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
On the results tape, quite often we're asked by both parties for copies of the results tape as well. How easy is that to write off?
So the machine, the DS200, is pre-programmed to print off 3
It will print
tapes.
all 3? Okay.
It'll once you start the process, once it prints off the tape, it'll print off 3. One goes with you in the black bag to bring back, then one for Democrat, one for Republican.
I know in the past we had to
Yeah, there's keys you had to turn and
do
print.
all kinds of
Yeah, no, they're pre-programmed, so they'll automatically print 3 of them.
Yeah.
For each precinct that you know, just for all the results
Right.
So no bickering over that.
for that location.
We only got 6 precincts.
So after all of that, the Democratic judge and the inspector must be present at the materials drop-off, which is at the Judicial Center, and they either need to be in the same vehicle or closely following one another, obviously with recent traffic in Clark County. As long as both of them are there at the same time and coming up to us at the same time to deliver all of the materials, that's good. So don't stress that too much. We don't have cameras in the parking lot. And then returning the materials and drop off. So color coded here. The blue bag should have the supply box, the signage kit, and the document folder. The document folder should have all paperwork filed in the corresponding envelope, and the inspector will have that. The black ballot bag is that duffel bag, again, voted ballots only, sealed with a security tag, and just have them straightened out and tidy for us. The black pouch should have the memory stick. It should have the machine keys and the DS200 tape, which is what he just asked about. And then the poll pad cases, all items that come in those, and the clerks are trained on this of what goes in them and what comes out of them. So the poll pad cases, all items that arrived at that location in that case need to be put back into that case. And again, drop off is at the back of the Judicial Center at the corner of Meigs Avenue and East 7th Street, and the inspector and Democrat judge are required to both be at that drop off.
It'll all be outside?
We'll
Yeah.
have a big light. It'll be all lit up and.
We don't have to go inside with anything.
So now we're gonna go to the election machines. We'll cover that. And as it says, there's gonna be a white binder that the inspector will have. And there's gonna be plenty of information in there if there's any questions on election day. So first is the poll pads. These are gonna essentially be the check-ins, and I'll kind of get out of everyone's way so they can see. So these are gonna be the check-ins, and they will be picked up on supply pickup day by the inspector. They are to remain sealed until election day. You will not be opening these big boxes and taking anything out. You will not be, obviously don't take anything out, don't turn anything on. Those are to be turned on election day, and the clerks are instructed how to use those. Each case is going to be labeled with their polling location. Make sure that the polling location case and the location match. And everything will be returned. Everything that comes out of the case should go back into it. And we need those to be returned on election night with everything in them. And please do not leave them at the polling location. And we're going to provide more information on the poll pads and the use of the poll pads. Clerks got their own printout of their training, as well as the poll pad guide will be provided to the inspector for election day. And then auto marks. So I briefly mentioned these earlier. Auto marks are our ballot marking devices that are ADA compliant. They are going to be delivered prior to election day. And so most locations already have theirs, and they will be left at the location on election night. So these are not required to come back on election night. And we provide a guide for that as well, but it's very simple. You just, if someone needs to use it, they would just slide their ballot in here. It'll scan it essentially, and it will help them if they, are having trouble filling out their own ballot. And it's very simple to use. Next is the DS200 machines. So these are the tabulating machines, and they're going to be dropped off prior to election day, so these will not be picked up. They are programmed to be polling location specific. So as you can see in this picture, it has the polling location on the front on a sign. All of them should have that, and obviously make sure that those are correct. They match the polling location that you're at. So unvoted ballots, when you go to store them, will be stored in the front of the machine, down here at the bottom where the signs are. And at the end of the night, again, empty the voted ballots out, put them into the duffel bag, put the unvoted ballots into that area. At the close of the polls, you will follow that DS200 guide that is provided, and when prompted, you will take out the memory stick, and this needs to be returned. This is also something that is very, very important for us to get back on election night. Again, you would just return it in the drop-off time frame, and then the actual machines can be kept at the polling location. You will not need to return those on election night. They can stay there with the auto marks, and we will pick them up on a later date. And again, we provide you with the DS200 guide that has step-by-step instructions on how to do certain processes, like print off the tape and everything like that. So you will be provided with that guide, and it tells you exactly what you need to do.
One other question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The memory stick, is that visible? Where that goes, is that visible in that picture up top? Or is it inside?
Yeah, so the memory stick is going to be either A, B, or C in the compartment, which is inside the DS200 machine.
Does it matter which one it's in?
No.
It'll already be in there, whatever. Right, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it'll be over, it's kind of hard to
Right.
see from the angle, but it'll be right here in this corner.
Yeah.
And now we go to election materials. I can flip my own page. All right, so poll booths, they will be delivered to the elections prior to the election day. There are 2 booths in each blue case. So the case is one of those, and they will have, that's 2 booths right there. So one case is 2 booths. It's going to have 8 legs and 2 of these white partitions. Very easy to set up. They're very light. So if you get 4, you'll have 8 poll booths. And yeah, close the polls, leave them there. Don't worry about them. We're going to pick them up on a later date. And you will assemble the booths on Monday, that Monday night, just because want to have it ready to go, everything set up so you don't have to worry about it when you start turning on the machines on Tuesday morning. So they're very easy to set up. Next is our signage kit. So we will provide a signage kit that we'll pick up, and it's going to have a few things. First is the voter bill of rights that will come in Spanish and English. Next will be the signs. So we have a no electioneering sign. We have the handicap accessibility sign, sample ballot signs, instructions for marking your ballots, and at-large/straight party instructions. Some locations will get 2 of these, maybe 3, but you should have these specific signs. Then you will get precinct signs, and these obviously should match up. So you'll get a precinct map, a precinct sign with hours, and a precinct sign with numbers. If you have multiple precincts, you'll get multiple maps, you'll get multiple of those. And then the important notice to voters also will come in Spanish and English. And so we ask that we provide you with Scotch tape. We've had in past years people use duct tape, and we ask that you not use duct tape. We don't know how people are getting duct tape. Please use the Scotch tape or anything else that can be easily removed from the wall and not tear up our precious, beautiful signs. So we'll provide you with the tape as well. You won't have to worry about those. Those are for inspectors. So we'll go to the provisional ballots page. So if a provisional ballot is needed, we ask that we beg that you call us first before filling it out. And if given approval, the pre-4s are going to be located in a white envelope that the inspectors will have, and these need to be filled out completely. So the orange highlighted, and they will be highlighted on those papers, the orange highlighted portions need to be filled out by you all as a poll worker, and the yellow highlighted portions must be completely filled out by the voter. So anything that is highlighted needs to be filled out by you all and by them. We cannot have anything missing because it's very important that that form gets filled out completely. The provisional ballots, for no ID.
Like if they don't have an ID or
Yeah.
they're at the wrong polling location.
So provisional ballots are for if someone is going to vote that day but does not have an ID. The requirement to fill out every possible section on that is they can vote that day, but there's a certain time frame that we need to get in contact with them, and they need to provide us with proof of identification so that that ballot can be counted, which is you would use the provisional ballot for that if they do not have an ID, so we give them the provisional ballot. The Pro 2 is on the flip side of the Pre-4, so front and back of that document needs to be filled out correctly and completely, and it will be in the provisional envelope. And then they are given a letter. You will give a letter to the voter, and it gives them information of saying, we need you to contact this number so that we can set up a time that you would come in and provide us with your ID at this later date. So it's important that they get that. Mm-hmm.
So Pre-4 and Pro 2 are the same paper.
They're on
Yeah.
the front and back of the
Yeah,
envelope.
just front back.
And the inspectors will have this, so this is more so just kind of letting you all know the process of this going on. But you will not receive anything that has those documents in it. This is just the inspector and judge training are combined. But this is just kind of informing you all of what that process looks like. So next is the black pouch. So the black pouch is super important. You're going to put a lot of the important materials in here. So the black pouch should come with name tags. It should come with name tags, security keys, or security tags, machine keys, and
Document seals.
document seals. Okay, so the name tags, obviously, everyone wants to know your name when they come in there. I'm sure they're going to say, hello, your name. They'll want to see you. And then the security tags, that will be what you seal up. We mentioned it earlier. Whenever you're filling out returning the contents to this pouch, you'll seal it up. It's that green tag right there. That's the security tag. You'll use it on the pouch, and you'll use it on the duffel bag with the ballots. And then the machine keys, this is the DS200 machine. Is it the AutoMark 2? And the AutoMark keys, we ask that all keys get put in there for us. And then the document seals, That's more something the inspector's trained on of at the end of the night, certain forms need to be put inside of envelopes and then sealed. When returned, again, you'll seal it with that green security tag. Needs to have all those keys, the memory stick, and the results tape, which is what prints off. Next slide. This is the fun one. This is the supply boxes. It's got everyone's favorite of the I voted stickers, black pens. That's going to be for the voters and marking their own ballots. We will supply the red pens that the clerks will use to initial the back of the ballots. Paper clips, rubber bands, a magnifying sheet to help people see if they don't really need the auto mark, but they just need a little bit more magnification. Blank paper, that tape that I mentioned for hanging the signage kit, a letter opener, poll pad tape, and excuse slips. So beautiful picture of everything that'll come in it. Next is our election reference guide. So this is the white binder that is given to the inspector. This is going to have a lot of those instruction manuals, the poll pad guide, the DS200 guide, the forms that we talked about earlier. A lot of the material and information that you might need on election day will be in that. So please, talk to your inspectors if you need to if you want to quickly read over something from that. Yeah, and we listed a lot of the information that will be in that on this slide. So in there is the voter forms, which is all of those papers. And on the left is the table of contents explaining what the pre-3 is, the pre-5, the VRG7, all of that. So that will be in the binder to let you know. We also put it here so that you can just read over and know what the forms look like. And the pre-3 is going to be used when voters require assistance. So if, let's say, someone needs help filling out their own ballot, you might go and help them. You would first need to sign this form. This is just saying that, the person is saying that I requested this and I consent to this person helping me fill out the ballot, and then you yourself would sign it saying that I am the person that filled out this ballot. Or help them fill it.
Would that be true if a spouse or somebody came in to help them?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, spouse, niece, nephew. It's just kind of keep track. For security reasons, obviously, we would like to have a paper trail of saying this person helped this person and everything like that. So the pre-5 is going to be used when voters were issued an absentee ballot, but they came to the polls to vote instead, and they didn't because they didn't receive their ballot. So, and this is also true of, let's say, we've been having issues with the mail. So if someone did not receive their absentee ballot, it didn't come to them in time, they can come to the polls, and as long as their check-in doesn't say that we have already received their ballot back at the judicial center, then they can still vote that day. And don't fret, they will not be able to vote twice. There is a check-in process that goes in whenever we receive a ballot coming in from absentee. If they vote at the polls and their absentee ballot comes in, they are not going to be able to vote twice. If they come in with their ballot that came in through absentee, but they wish to vote at the location, you will then take their ballot from them and write spoiled. We ask that they not rip it up completely or shred it. We ask that you just write void or spoiled in big letters and have them fill out this form. That way we have, again, a paper trail of they gave us their ballot that day and wrote void, then they fill out this form, and then we can connect those two. And we also ask that the reason they don't shred it is because we would like to make sure that if one ballot came in, it doesn't look like there's a whole pile that could be 2 or 3 ballots. The pre-8 is going to be used if a poll worker is replaced on election day. Let's say someone, just can't come in and work that day, and we send someone new comes. They will fill out that form. If a clerk comes in and they weren't originally supposed to be working there, they'll just fill out that form. The VRG7 is a form used for voter registration. So let's say someone comes in and they aren't registered and they would like to they will fill out that form. And the VRG 412, if a voter comes and their address, they need to update their address.
If they come in at VRG 7, can they vote that day?
They cannot vote that day, just because the registration, they still wouldn't be registered from.
Right, it closes.
Yeah.
And one other question, you said the absentee ballots, they walk in with them? we write spoiled on, do they go in our spoiled box?
Yes, so you will keep that, and they wouldn't receive it back. And there is an area for spoiled ballots, whether they mess up filling out the ballot while they're there, or if they bring in that absentee ballot, just write void or spoiled, or, just make it clear that that is not a viable ballot. So what not to do? Like we said, these seals are going to come in that black pouch, and we ask that you do not seal any empty envelopes. And then we ask that you do not sign all of these seals, as we like to reuse for the next election if they are not used. And do not sign all of the ballots. You're going to get quite a large amount of ballots, and obviously we do not want to sign a bunch when they are not going to be going to the voters. So we ask that you sign when necessary. When someone is checking in and they're about to take that ballot to go vote, instead of filling out 100 and you only get 50 voters at the location that day. So, lastly, we ask that you use your materials. We have provided a lot of guides that come in that white binder that the inspector gets, and that's going to cover every machine that's there. We provide you with this. You are also provided with this, which we'll probably go over next. And we also give you a election day handbook. There's a lot of repetition of just telling you all what you can do, and referencing anything that might come up. And lastly, just any poll worker can call us that day. We put our number on everything: the office number, my number, Angela's number, Jim's direct line, Ryan's number, and that's the county election board. We ask that if you run into any issue and you are really struggling, that you call, but we also ask that you please use your election materials that day. That way you all can get the answer right then and not maybe have to wait for us to get off the phone with someone else having an issue. But please call us if it is very, very urgent and necessary. So, yeah. Lastly, we're going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go to that. All right, so yours is going to look a little different, but as you can see, this is what the poll pad receipt is going to look like. These are the receipts that are going to go into that baggie. The clerks will mainly deal with this, but these receipts are super, super important. We use it to match up our count. They're just very important, do need to be returned. So when the receipts print from the poll pads, we ask that everyone kind of, takes a glance and make sure that this precinct and split, ignore this. We do not have.
Let me get the right one.
Yeah. Anyways, we ask that you just take a look. This is going to tell you the correct ballot that voter should be receiving. So obviously we want to make sure that this receipt that prints off matches up to that ballot. And that way at the end of the night, when everything gets returned to us, all of the numbers are very pretty, and we aren't looking for, trying to figure out why our numbers are not matching up. So this is the slide that's in front of you all. So as you can see, this is what your poll pad receipts will look on that day. So we've got Angela up here, and the precinct is Charlestown 3, and Charlestown 3 is split, and she lives in Charlestown 3, City B. Not all precincts are going to have splits. A lot of them do, so we just ask that you just, make sure. And so you will match this up to the ballots. So the ballots are going to have the precinct name on both the front and the back. So as you can see, this is a sample ballot from this election. This is the correct ballot, Charlestown 3, City B. And it will also be down here, Charlestown 3, City B. So just, make sure that everything's matching up. If you keep the ballots organized on that other table or at the same table with the poll pads, should be very easy to just grab them and take a quick glance. And then as you can see, we mentioned it, but this is where the clerks would initial. That's right where it is. And yeah. Yes. So the other important thing with the ballots, obviously the most important thing that this election is that, as you can see, it says straight party, and then we have Republican and Democrat. If someone chooses to vote straight party, let's say they would like to vote straight Republican, that's straight Republican Party, they would still need to fill in their votes for their at-large candidate. So that at-large is going to be down here at the bottom. And the reason for this is that we just want to make sure that there are certain ballots that are going to have the choice for multiple people. So this one says choose one. We had someone today, their ballot said choose 3 with 6 options. So we obviously want to make sure that the voter knows that if they select straight party, they still need to go in and pick their specific candidates for at-large because it's multiple choice. So you will also notice, you might notice, that there are certain ballots that have straight party for just Republican or just Democrat. There are a lot of offices this election where there's only one person running for that office, and if all of the offices on this one, we've got 3 that aren't the at-large. So if these 3 offices were just Republicans, there would not be a Democrat straight party. So you might get some questions on that, so we just wanted to let you know. That's the reason why there wouldn't be a Democrat straight party, because there isn't a Democrat straight party to vote for. And that's why it might just say Republican straight party or Democrat straight party. And that's the reason why. Forget anything else?
I was just gonna stress if there's a district split at your polling location, that you really pay attention to that, because in the primary, I think we had a couple issues with the wrong districts getting handed out. Luckily, it was an uncontested race, so it wasn't a high importance at that time, but it is important in this race because that can make a difference in a municipal race. Someone could win by 3 or 4, and there was 3 or 4 handed out ballots in the primary, and that's something we really need everybody to pay attention. I mean, that was something we talked about last time, and it didn't happen. And it's just some places will only have 1 ballot. Some places will have 6 ballots or 8 ballots, and you have to make sure that that person is getting the correct ballot. That's the only thing that I can think of. And if you're not working at your polling location, you need to vote at the courthouses tomorrow or Saturday, 9 to 4.
Yeah, so everyone should hopefully know their location by now. If you are not working at the location that you would normally vote at, then you wouldn't be able to vote there. If you are working at the location you normally vote at, you'll be able to vote on election day. But again, if you are not there, we have early voting going on, and we really would like people to get their vote in even though they're working on election day. So, like Angela said, tomorrow's Thursday, right? Friday, Saturday, it'll be from 9 to 4, and then on Monday, it's just going to be from 9 to noon. So, I'll give you 3 more days if you would like to come in and vote early. And you can still do that if you're working at your polling location. So, if you want to come in, come and see us. Next is this paper with a bunch of highlight spots. This is just, again, a more in-depth checklist and duties for. It covers Monday night, election day, close of the polls, material placement into their correct positions and drop off, along with our contact information. And there is a key at the front, so if you would like to follow, we have the judges and we have the Democratic judges highlighted, we have the Republican judges highlighted, the clerks, what they need to do. So we try and keep it color-coded so that way you're able to follow along very easily on what you all should be doing, as well as, just making sure that everything is going through smoothly and everyone's able to do what they need to do. And this will be a very, very helpful guide. It tells you everything you need to do that day, step-by-step procedures. And again, our information on the back. Please call us with any issues or any questions you might have. And the other thing we've given you all is the 2023 Election Day Handbook. This is from the state. It goes way more in depth about information that people might have questions on. what's allowed, what isn't allowed. So if you have any questions, this is a great resource to refer back to. It's also, if you're at a slow location, you might just take it and read while you're there. But we provide it to you all if you have any questions, and it's, again, a great resource. Yeah? Am I forgetting anything?
Are there any questions for us tonight? Yes.
You said that we need to be there on Monday. What time, to set up all this? When are you supposed to be there?
Are you a Democrat judge or a Republican judge?
Then,
A Dem, you will be getting a phone call. Your inspectors will pick up their information on Saturday, so they'll be reaching out to you and setting that time up. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Please, if you all have a question, I'm sure someone else also has it.
How do you know what type of judge you are?
And when
Who'd you sign up with?
Did you talk to Connie or Benita?
Connie, I think.
Connie, you're Republican.
Any other questions?
And if you think of any questions, even, anytime, like you said, all of our information
What
is.
about checking IDs? What is allowed?
Checking IDs, so there will be in the inspectors receive that white binder that does have more information on acceptable IDs. The clerks also received a similar packet with the clerks training that says, but it's,
We don't need it.
if you want me to go over, I can. It's just, driver's license, an Indiana ID card, military or veterans ID, a passport, and it obviously needs to have a photo. You got it? Okay, perfect. So, here we go. So, it has to have their photo, confirm the name to their record, have an expiration date, and it needs to be issued by the state of Indiana or the U.S. government.
Page eight.
Yeah, page 8 of the state handbook. And it goes over that, some people, like, best example is my dad. My dad's name is Clay Anthony. He goes by Tony. So some people might, as you can see, Robert John Crew might go by Bob J. Crew. That might be how he registered to vote as, but his driver's license says Robert. So it kind of gives you another guide of names and nicknames that would be acceptable.
Something else is if someone comes in with an expired license, they can vote with it if it has expired since the previous general election. So that date is 11/8/2022.
2022. And it's
So if it's expired on 11/8 and to now, they can vote with it. If it's 11/7 and before, they cannot vote for it. And the BMV will be open on election day, and they're also open on the Monday before, just in case. But that doesn't help you on election day, obviously. But yeah, if they come in early enough and their license is expired too early, then they should have time to be able to go and renew if they want it.
and this.
Wasn't there also some colleges that?
Yes,
Yeah,
so
state
college
college.
IDs will work as long as they, again, provide the similar information, a photo, expiration date, and name, and as long as it is issued by an Indiana state school, that would be an acceptable.
It has to have, state law requires the
Yeah.
expiration date.
Another thing that got asked at the last one is paper driver's license. When you go and get a driver's license, they give you the paper version. It will work to check them in. It will not scan, so you would have to manually enter them. The clerks know this. They know how to manually enter, but that's just another thing, is that that piece of paper showing the driver's license from the BMV is eligible as an ID. Any more questions? Concerns?
On election day, if anything comes up, please feel free to reach out to any of the numbers that are on the documents that you have. We are more than happy and more than willing to help with anything you all need. So if there are no questions, you all are free to go. We appreciate you all coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.